Hello, hello! Welcome to my weekly Wednesday Facebook Live. I'm Julie DiMatteo from thepaperpixie.com, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And in today's live demonstration, we're going to make this really adorable drawstring bag box, I'm calling it. Sophie Prestrel, I believe is how she pronounces her last name. She's a French demonstrator, and she came up with this fabulous box. And she made a whole rainbow of these boxes, and I absolutely fell in love with them. One of the things I love about this project is that you can make two of them out of one piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm obviously using the Year of Cheer Specialty Designer Series paper because I absolutely love it. Let me get it close to the camera. All right, I'm going to flip the camera around. This is the Year of Cheer Specialty Designer Series paper. Each of the papers have some type of foil, whether it be silver, gold, or champagne. Look at how beautiful this one is. Hopefully that's showing up, how pretty that is. And you get, I think, 3 sheets of each pattern. I love this checkered pattern. So anyways, we're going to use this snowflake one that's silver and gold. And I'm going to bring out a piece of paper that measures 8.5 by 5 3/8. I've tweaked Sophie's measurements just slightly, and I'll tell you why as I'm putting it together. But 8.5 by 5 3/8. And let me go ahead and bring in my Simply Scored, one of my favorite tools, if not my absolute favorite. Actually, we're going to start on the 5 3/8 inch side, and we're going to score this at 1.5 and 3. And I always forget to tell you guys this, but don't worry about writing down the measurements. This project will be live on my blog post tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. All of the dimensions will be there, all the products I use, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Then I'm going to rotate it clockwise, and we're going to score at every inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Believe it or not, this box has 8 sides. So we're going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so we're going to have this little 1/2 inch section along the side. Most of you love these, but I do have my typical template here. Let me just pull that out real quick. So we did the 1.5 inch and the 3 inch along the 5 3/8 inch side. Then I rotated it and did it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, we are going to do a little bit of scoring away from the Simply Scored, and that's going to be these little diagonal ones. But before we put the Simply Scored away, we want to make sure we make little tick marks at all the 1/2 inch marks. And that's going to help us know the starting and stopping point of our diagonal lines. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my Year of Cheer back. And I recommend using a pencil here. If you don't have a pencil, make your marks on the back side, okay? So that people won't see your little marks. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this a little closer to me so I can see it. I'm just making teeny tiny tick marks at all the 1/2 inch marks. Now this is one of those boxes that's not a super quick and easy box, but it is going to be a gorgeous way to gift something over the holidays. And then change up the paper, and it can be a great birthday gift or a random act of kindness or just because. So I love this box. Now I'm going to bring in the Stampin' Pierce mat. This is a foam mat that's awesome for stamping with our photopolymer stamp sets as well as paper piercing. And then I also love to use it when I want to score these kind of diagonal score lines that I won't use my Simply Scored for. It just gives a little bit of give. So I'm going to bring this in. Now you're not going to be able to see very easily on camera how I'm doing this, but again, let me just reference the template. We are just scoring from the tick mark down to basically the intersection of these horizontal and vertical score lines, if that makes sense. So just those diagonals. And once you start doing it, it's going to go by really fast. I kind of turn my paper at an angle, and I put my stylus right there at that vertical score line. So again, right here at this vertical score line. And I'll do that kind of all the way down. So that's kind of my starting point to do the diagonal score line. So bear with me. And I'm just lining up that, and a metal ruler works the best. It's not required, but I just feel like it doesn't give much give. So tick mark down to the bottom corner. And I'm going to kind of do the same direction one way, and then I'll flip-flop it and do the same direction the other way. Whatever works for you. Oh, and while I'm here, I'm actually also going to do this one diagonal score line at the end. This is not a necessity, but I found that it helps. Once you adhere the box together, you've already got that score line there. And since this is a 1/2 inch, it's already, that corner there is already the halfway mark. Hopefully that makes sense. Now I'm going to go the other direction down to finish off those triangles. This is a heavier weight designer series paper. It's single-sided, but you know what? I'm trying to see if you, I don't know if you can see those score lines. Probably not on white, maybe a little bit. But so we've done those little triangular score lines, all right? So now, first thing I'm gonna do is erase my little pencil marks because we don't need those anymore. And then I'm going to fold and burnish on all those score lines. The diagonal ones, I just kind of put my finger right there where that point is, and I just gently kind of coerce them. They do not have to be as crisp of a fold as the vertical and horizontal ones do. Just kind of get them going, and then once we pull the box together, those will sharpen right up for you. So we've done all of those. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away a couple pieces. Okay, so bringing back the template again, we're going to cut away this lower right rectangle piece here, the small sliver on the side. And we're going to cut that away. So that's this piece right down here. And I'm also notching in just slightly this piece right here. This is our little tab that we're going to adhere the box together. All right, and then I'm going to cut up all of these vertical score lines along the bottom. This is actually going to form the bottom of our box. And they look silly because they're super long, but again, I've got a method to my madness. That's the only cutting we're doing. So we cut that little rectangle along the side and then up all of these tabs. Looks so silly right now. The question is, can we make the box larger by making that lower section smaller? Absolutely. So one of the things that you are able to tweak, so if you stick to the 8.5 inch width, I'm hoping I can explain this well enough. If you stick to the 8.5 inch width, again, it's going to be the 1 inch sections all the way along. You definitely want the top to remain 1.5 inch. So you definitely want that first score line along the short side to be 1.5 inch, and that's going to give you this kind of pointed or domed top. But then you can certainly adjust where you want, or how high or tall you want this part of the box. Now again, if you're using a 12 by 12 piece of paper, you can certainly make this box a lot taller. You just want to make sure, and you'll see it when we put it together, but you want to make sure that when you have these pieces at the bottom, that they have to at least overlap a little bit. And I'll explain that more once we put the bottom together. But you want to make sure you've got at least enough here. It doesn't need to be this much, but enough where your these tabs on the bottom overlap with each other, the opposite side. So I'll show you that. But absolutely, you can adjust the height of the box, and that's one of the things I love about this project too. So if you had like a really cool candle or other type of gift that this needs to be taller, you can certainly adjust it. And again, even with cardstock, you're going to have 11 inches to work with because this side is only 8.5. So you could certainly just get one out of a piece of 8.5 by 11. So all right, so some tear and tape adhesive. I'm going to place that right along this tab here. And I go as close as I can to that score line. because that's really what we care about there. And then I'm going to peel this off. And I love this because this is an equal number of sides. So what you can do is fold on any of these. Doesn't matter. And then you can meet up this side by folding it. And it should line up right where you want it to go. That's the beauty of a equi-sided box. Now you're probably wondering, why didn't we punch the holes yet? Because it's actually easier to do it once your box is put together. So now I want to point out on here, you've got these score lines that are sticking out, and then you have the score lines that are going in, right? Those are from our triangle piece. We are going to pinch along the ones that are sticking outwards, if that makes sense, and we're going to punch. And I'm using our 1/8 inch circle punch. And what I like to do, we're going to punch, let's see if I can show you. Let me do one of them, and then hopefully I'll put a piece of black paper behind it. But I'm punching kind of right in the center of the edge here and that diagonal line. And I'm lining up this part of the punch right to the edge there, that top edge. All right, let me grab a piece of black. I think you can see. So just put that right in the center. There's a little triangle here that's made with those diagonal score lines, and I'm doing that kind of right in the center there. And I'm eyeballing it. It does not need to be perfect. And then all you're going to do is fold on each of those intersections there and just repeat all the way down. So now we've got all of those holes, okay? So it's starting to come together. Now we're going to do the bottom here. Now I try to eyeball where our seam is, okay? And you can see that's right where we adhered the box together. That's going to be our back. So I'm kind of paying attention. I'm going to open these this way. It'll be easier to see. I want this tab to be the last one that I glue down, because this is the front tab. We've got our seam here in the back. Okay, so I'm going to start just directly to the right of it. And the reason why I made this bottom section is 2 3/8 is because it's going to help me form this octagon in an equidistant shape. Now, this is the part where I was talking about. You can certainly make the box taller. You just want to make sure that this bottom section, that at least some of it overlaps. So certainly, I'm not going to use scissors, but certainly I could cut this smaller. I just want to make sure that the opposite flaps can adhere to each other somehow. You do not need this much space. I just found that this was easier to form a equidistant octagon, if that makes sense, okay? So I love to use the liquid multi-purpose glue for this, and I'm just going to put it, oops, all on the back side. If I can get the glue to come out of just that one piece, because we're going to just overlap these together. And I'm just lining them up. They are perfect to fit right across each other. And if it's easier, flip the box upside down and then just press from the inside. Okay. Then we're just going to keep repeating. And again, I'm keeping my, okay. So then I'm going to put glue on this tab here. I'm going to put a little bit in the center there just so that this piece sticks to the previous sections that we did, and we're just going to continue that all the way around the box, consistently making sure that those are lined up, and that's going to make sure that this stays in an equal shaped octagon. I'm going to just flip the box upside down and using the bottom of my glue, just kind of press that into place while that glue adheres. All right, so now the last thing I'm going to do here is you will have, if you stick to these dimensions, you will have a little piece left over that you can punch this out. We've got a 2 1/4 inch circle punch that's new in the annual catalog, and that actually fits really nicely inside the octagon shape. I'm just going to punch one of those out. If you wanted to get real fancy, you could punch two of them, one to glue on the inside and one for the outside, but no one's going to look at the inside. They just want to see what you put on the inside, right? So go ahead and put liquid glue on the bottom there. Just press that into place. It just nicely kind of finishes off the bottom of the box. Because while people won't care what the bottom of the inside looks like, you know they're going to look at the bottom of the outside. And then I'll just flip it upside down and using that glue, press down again. This glue bottle is seriously multi-purpose. It's called the multi-purpose liquid glue. But I use it to press things into place too. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we just need to close off the box. And again, I'm paying attention to where that back seam is. We want our ribbon, our bow, to tie up here in the front. So that's where I'm going to start feeding our ribbon through. Gold for this one. And this is our 1/8 inch gold ribbon. I like to trim the end off and give it a pointy tip. Now some of you probably use the flossers and things. That's another tip to feed this through. I have found though that we're using a 1/8 inch hole and this is a 1/8 inch ribbon, so it's not going to fight us too much. But what I like to do is pinch, similar to where we pinch to put the holes. I'm pinching there, so I'm at least going through 2 layers of cardstock at the same time. So we'll just feed that all the way around. So I am, just like a drawstring box or bag, kind of cinching that together. Okay. And then I'm just going to tie a bow here. There we go. I cut out a silver foil snowflake. I'm going to grab a glue dot with my paper piercer. Put that. Now this comes from the Trim Your Stockings Thinlet dies. And of course I don't have the actual die, but it's got this really beautiful snowflake. And you can make pillow boxes from it. I love this set of dies. It's got a great coordinating stamp set. Tags and trimmings. You can get this bundled together at a 10% discount. That's the tags and trimmings bundle. These gold faceted gems are gorgeous. Ooh, I kind of love it. All right, I'm going to flip back so you can see my face again. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Here's our 2 little boxes. I would love for you to stop by my blog. I post every weekday projects to inspire you. Have a wonderful and blessed week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Take care. Bye.